He didn't need it for mankind. One day he thought to get us immortality, he wanted us to live forever. But the trouble was, to do that, he had to get with the goddess of the underworld, had to do it to Paul. And wherever Maui went, his friends went as well. One of his friends was the bird, and the bird is known as the pio. Unfortunately nowadays, the pio is extinct. Like 40% of the native bird life that were around before man arrived in New Zealand. Unfortunately, they're all extinct, including the pio. And the tahi plant, that means one in Maori, tahi, and it refers to this one pio. And that bird was with Maui at the time that he had to get with Hatinui pole. There's a few other birds there as well. And what Maui got it up to made them laugh out loud. And unfortunately that woke the goddess up. She was asleep at the time. And she crushed Maui. Basically killed him right there and then. So the pio got really upset, causing its master's demise, and it fled to the most distant place it could find, namely right here. So that's how the name Pio Tahi, according to legend, came across. All thanks to Maui trying to get us immortality. Australian plate clip pushing the Pacific plate up, so the number 4 and number 5 step under the water. I don't know, 100, 300,000 years, they'd be above our head by then. There's your still problem. 650 meters from one side to another. Normal sunny day, quite windy here, but today nice and calm, all thanks to being at this time of the year as well. Up next, of course, highlight of most cruises, we're going to visit Waimanu or Stirling Falls ahead of us. So if you haven't been outside yet, it's a good time to get yourself organised, limber up. You want to be outside for this. And the reason for it, I'm going to tell you all about that. But I'll give you a bit of heads up so you can get yourself a jacket, maybe a hat just in case. Best place to be, outside deck, top deck. My favourite, the anchor deck. Get you your struggling brain at the ideal scale. This is a massive waterfall. If you did not know, 152 metres. It's massive, but it just doesn't look like it. All thanks to the big, tall mountains squashed so tightly around it. If you wonder what 152 metres is, so if you're coming from a big city, try a 50-storey building. It's roughly the same height. It's massive. Yes, doesn't look like it. So I'm going to get you a bit closer, give your struggling brain a little bit of a better handle on it. If you're wondering, compared to the likes of famous Niagara Falls between the USA-Canada border, that waterfall's only 52 meters. This waterfall is 3 times as high. Give you an idea of the scale here. It's just massive. My recommendation, grab something to wear, head on out to the outside decks, and I'll tell you why you should be out there for this. Why should you be outside visiting Stirling Falls, or the better name I like is Waimanu. Stirling Falls, named by Captain Stirling, or Commodore I think he was when he was here, named it after himself. He was trying to compensate for something, I'm not sure. Waimanu I like a lot better. It refers to the spray, it loosely translates to cloud resting on the surface. And there's a legend to go with this as well. That's why you want to be outside. The legend goes a little bit like this. If you get touched by the spray of Waimanu, you're going to wake up looking and feeling 10 years younger tomorrow morning. The reason for the legend, I think, is this is a permanent waterfall. The reason it's permanent, some of this water are glacier melt water, potentially 2 million years old, making it pretty pure, if anything, very fresh. That's a good enough reason. So head on out there and see if I can get some spray across the deck. Make sure you get some on your face and see if it works. fresh glacier meltwater, some of that. So if it doesn't work for you, at least you know probably you realise you had your first glacial facial. Some of this water comes from Mount Pembroke Glacier. We're going to point out to you soon where that is. So well done to most of you for getting out there and enjoying our Stirling Falls or Waimanu. Things, next really tall feature coming up ahead of us left hand side, you probably see already, look up, up 700 meters up. This vertical rock wall is known as Milford Sound overhang. This is again Mount Kimberley or the Lions, and the overhang you can see there, overhanging by 30 meters, goes past the vertical by 30 meters, 700 meters above your head. Of course that's not top of the Mount Kimberley, another 600 meters to the top of the mountain. Being an overhang as well, of course they have to go and jump off it. Has been jumped off twice by a stunned woman in the 70s. And the reason she jumped off twice is the first time she was up there and jumped off too quick for the camera crew that were here at the time. I had worked with a skipper that was part of the safety boat down here. And they did tell me that if you didn't have a parachute, it takes 11 seconds if we fall from 700 meters up there. So, but it's like when she have it, she knew what she was doing. Parachute opened up both times and she landed here, no worries. And the reason the camera crew wasn't ready. Of a glacier pass I'd like to point out is this rock wall coming up on the left hand side. It's a smooth looking rock wall. Got these gouges and scratch marks in it, that vertical gouges and scratch marks. Scientists call it glacier striations. It's made by rocks that were bedded within the ice as it went past the rock wall here, making those scratches. And the scientists used that to figure a few things out. They figured out how fast the glacier moved, what speed I should say the glacier moved past the rock wall. They reckon at the top speed of 7 to 8 meters a day the glacier flew past this rock wall. I say flew, the reason for it, Antarctic ice flow of 7 or 8 millimeters a day. So yeah, 100 times as fast here. And the thickness of the ice, they reckon 1,400 meters thick at the thickest. That's a 1.4 kilometer thick ice flow, moving 7 to 8 meters a day. That would have been a sight to see. And the noise level, I imagine, would be phenomenal. And the reason for the fastness and the height of the ice here, the height of the mountains around you and the high rainfall Of course, during the Ice Age, they were all falling as snow. And that provides a lot of ice to push the glaciers downhill from these high peaks, and that's the reason for the quickness of the ice. So that's been a phenomenal thing 14,000 years ago, is for sure. So that's glacier striation that made those scratch marks on the side of the rock. Cove's going to open up to our port left-hand side. Harrison Cove, named, I believe, of John Harrison in his honor. John Harrison, he was an inventor of a chronometer, very important man to maritime history when it comes to navigation. And the reason he was his invention was important was you do need to tell time on a vessel in two places to know where you are on the planet, and his invention, the clock or the chronometer, ran on springs, so you could take it on a boat. Before his invention, of course, clock ran using pendulums. Don't work very well on the boat, it rocks around a lot. Even Captain Cook had one of John Harrison's inventions, a copy of his H4 it was called, when he travelled down this way. Nice calm area here too in Harrison's Cove. That's why we have these mooring buoys ahead of us. When our overnight vessel runs, that's where they spend the night. They attach to one of these mooring buoys. They wake up to these views in the mornings before they do the cruise we just did, and they do that usually in the morning after breakfast. Also, Harrison's Cove is one of only two places in Milford it is shallow enough to anchor a boat. And also it houses Mount Pembroke, so the mountain out to our left hand side with a bit of white stuff on top, that is Mount Pembroke, the tallest of the peaks around here, 2014 meters. And the white stuff up there is a glacier. Some of that glacier meltwater is what feeds Stirling Falls, and that's why it's a permanent waterfall. That glacier up there is 1 or 2,000 glaciers you find here in South Island. Compare that to, I think, 12 in North Island. Give you an idea of the difference between the two islands. Temperature is one of them. Also the valley here, Harrison's Valley, is also got extra protection. Other than being a national park, it's also a wilderness area. It is set aside to be as much as possible as this place would be before man turned up. So got extra protections. There's nothing man-made up in the air, and also the airplanes, the helicopters are not allowed to fly over it. That way, protecting that noise pollution. So you do, of course, allowed to go visit here. So if you follow the Harrison River up here and then up at the lake, and the lake is known as Lake Never Never. And I think it's named there because once you get there, you're most likely never coming back. Also alignment too. Take a picture of the glacier up there, make sure you get some water in the picture. The unusual alignment is a fjord, rainforest and a glacier all in one. The very unique alignment, probably only get it here and in Patagonia. dusting on Maitre Peak or Rahutu. I better tell you another legend, how this place was created. You can believe scientists, glaciers, tectonic plate movement, a lot of rain to create all that, or you can do a legend side. Maoris, according to their legend, was passed down in stories since they did not have a written language. And my version, of course, this is my condensed versions that I don't tell anyone. It goes a little bit like this. So there were no fjords here when the demigods were around, and Tuturaki Whanoa, or we call him Tu, he was asked by the other demigods to create safe havens for the fishermen, because of the Tasman Sea being so rough. So he started down the south corner of South Island and started hacking away at the landscape. And Machu Picchu is not to be his finest work. And if you ever get to see the fjords to the south of us, you can see what you mean, because the first one down there was really open, not very good for shelter at all, quite flat, not so dramatic. And Milford is the finest work that Tu did, and he was so proud of Milford, or Piotahi I should say. He invited his demigod friends to come have a look. They came here and they were very impressed. They were so impressed they made Rahutu, or Maitre Peak, in his honor. So that was made by the other demigods to honor Tu for this fine job he's done. If you wonder what Rahutu translates into, a symbol of upright manliness. Or my kids call it a stiffy. Yeah, that's how they name it the way they see it. That's what Rahutu roughly translates into. Even Heninu Tepo, if you remember, the goddess of the underworld, she was here too, and she was very impressed with this place. Unfortunately, or fortunately, she knew of us, man. She knew we would come here, and we would not want to leave because it is so beautiful. And if we stayed here, she knew we would wreck this place. So she decided that was not good enough. She created a guardian known as Tenamu, and you know this guardian too. We call them sandflies. So that's why the sandflies are so aggressive, because their job is to keep us moving, and they do a good job of that too, I must say. And if your boss is the goddess of the underworld, you would be aggressive as well. Just ask Maui, you do not want to upset her. So that's how Maitre Peak was created, and that's why we have sandflies here today. Massive rock walls. Here we've got another one right in front of us. This is known as Sheerdown Range. It divides Milford into two. And it's the valleys on either side that's kind of unique. So you have the valley ahead of us to the right, that's Arthur Valley. That's the valley you will arrive here if you walk into here. So it'll take you 4 days, 3 nights on that Milford track. You'll arrive in the valley there at a place called Sandfly Point. And then a little orange boat will pick you up and drop you off in the harbour, and the boat is known as Tenamu, which which is the Maori for sandfly. And the valley ahead of us to the left, there's Cloud Valley, that take you right up to Homer Tunnel. And there's a valley that goes off there known as Tutico Valley, brings you up to Mount Tutico, which is the tallest mountain here in Fiordland National Park, 2,700 meters tall. And those valleys, of course, these two valleys ahead of us, either other side of the Shetland Range, is the path. The two biggest glaciers came down and collided right in front of us. Before they collided with the glacier that came out of the Harrison Valley. So this is the collision zone right here. That's why Milford is the widest and the deepest right here. So those three big glaciers collided pretty much where we are before they joined force and then pushed our fall towards Tasman Sea 14,000 years ago. So this would have been the place. Massive collision. We're going to very slowly see all of the tallest permanent waterfall that we're coming up to. Lady Bowen Falls, 164 meters, all of it are going to come into view very soon. And I'm going to tell you why it is the most important waterfall here. Bowen Falls, 164 meters. Oh, very delicious water. The tallest permanent waterfall, and the reason it is a permanent waterfall is the same thing as Stirling Falls, is glacier meltwater fed. And the reason I say delicious, it is a water supply here in Milford. If you had any water on board, tea, coffee, cold, hot water, that's where we get it from. Freshly filtered by Mother Nature. It is quite delicious. So if you have a water bottle, I suggest you fill that water up from anywhere on board or at the water station, filling station at the visitor centre. It does another thing too. It runs a hydroelectrical power station, so it's all drinking water and it also gives us electricity. Amazing. Everyone should have a waterfall like this. And it's not bad to look at as well. It frames the entrance and exit to the harbour very nicely. Fantastic morning it's been. Of course, we're going to wait for permission to land. So what we'll do there, I'll tell you a few things you can do. If you actually drove yourself in, you get your own transport. If you're not in a hurry, there's a few things you can do. Either side of the vessel ahead of us, left-hand side, there's a foreshore walk there. Quite nice things to do. Stretch your legs before you drive out of here. Also, just on the other side of the vessel now, you can see a bit of a billboard there. And there's where the latest Mission Impossible movie was filmed. Opening scene was filmed right there. Also, one of the alien movies, Prometheus, a few summers ago they came out here and built a spaceship on the beach there, and then one afternoon they blew it up. It's quite an interesting day to work here. There's a couple of movies that were filmed here in Milford. Also, if you have a bit more time, you want to stretch your legs some more, ahead of us, left hand side, you see the old hotel there. In behind there is a lookout spot. You can walk up, not too many steps, get your heart rate up a bit, walk up to have a look at the lookout. You get a different aspect of Milford before you drive out of here. So there's a couple of things to do before you hit the road if you have time and not in a hurry. It's such a gorgeous afternoon now. The sun's finally found us. It's only going to be here for a couple of hours and I'm going to set soon. So take advantage of it if you can. Get busy landing this vessel. I better thank you on behalf of PureNZ, on behalf of the crew and myself on board the Sovereign and Sovereign herself. Thank you all for coming out, spending some time with us. Grateful for having you here. Really boring if you weren't. And we'll hopefully see you back in the near future. Come on back on a rainy day. I'll show you this place, and the rain is fantastic. Also, I'd like to remind you to double check